Up YouTube, I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Shogun versus Smith. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight is Damian Stikes versus Louis Ping Yang. And to me, these guys both look like they're primarily jiu-jitsu guys, but to me, Ping Yang has been submitted a bunch of times, so I feel like he's just kind of this decent Chinese fighter. And I feel like Damian Stikes, we've seen, he's got great karate, great jiu-jitsu. I think this is a good fight for him to bounce back. I think that he's better everywhere, and I think sooner or later, Damian Stikes, once he gets on top of him, he's probably going to win by rear naked choke, probably in the first round. I think it's going to be pretty dominant for him. Next is Jeremy Kimmel versus Darko. I don't know how to say his last name, but to me, Darko looks like a really, really good striker. You know, he's 12-1. Most of his wins are by knockout. Jerry Kimmel, he's also primarily a striker, so I feel like this will be a striking fight, and I think sooner or later Darko is going to win by knockout. Like I said, I just think he looks like the better striker, and I think that's what's going to happen sooner or later, probably first, second round. Next, we got Davey Grant versus Manny Bermudez, and Manny Bermudez is 1-0 in the UFC. His striking didn't look amazing in his debut, but his jiu-jitsu looked really, really good. And to me, Davey Grant, he also has good jiu-jitsu, but I've seen that it's not amazing. I feel like in his fight with Damian Stikes, he was consistently beating him on the feet. And then every time they go to the ground, you know, Stikes was just one step ahead. And I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I think Davey Grant will be winning on the feet, but I think Manny Bermudez will be able to consistently get this fight to the ground. I think sooner or later, Manny Bermudez is going to take his back or something and win by rear naked choke. So I got Manny Bermudez by either first or second round submission. Next, onto the prelim card, we got Justin Ledet versus Alexander Rack. And to me, Alexander looks like a really, really good striker. To me, Justin Ledet is probably going to be a little bit bigger, but my biggest fear with Ledet is he doesn't have finishing power. I feel like he's this very technical boxer, and that's about it. He has decent takedowns and decent jiu-jitsu, but he isn't overall impressive. I just feel like he has good conditioning and good technique, but to me, Alexander Redick will probably be the better striker, and I think he'll be able to stuff Justin's takedowns. And I don't know if he'll knock him out, but I do think Alexander will edge out every round and probably just win a 30-27 decision with his better striking and good takedown defense. Next is, I don't know how to say this guy's first name, but it's like his last name is Taha versus Nad, and I can't say his last name. You know, both these guys are making their debut. Taha looks like a really good striker primarily. He's only got one loss. He's 12-1. He's got a little bit of a ground game. It's primarily just takedown defense, but Taha looks like a really good up-and-comer. To me, Nad just looks like primarily like a wrestler, jiu-jitsu guy with some decent ground and pound. I'm leaning towards Taha. I think that he's the bigger, stronger guy. I think that he'll be able to stuff those takedowns and win by knockout. But like I said, it's hard to tell because neither of these guys have faced super tough competition, but I'm leaning towards Taha. Next, we got Emil Weber-Beek versus Bart's Fimbisky. And to me, Bart just looks like he's a good wrestler, and that's about it. I feel like his striking and jiu-jitsu game aren't that amazing. And I feel like Emil Weber-Beek, you know, to me, he really impressed me in that fight with Kamaru Usman. I thought he was going to get annihilated. He was actually able to do some shit and didn't just get blown out of the water. He clearly lost every round, but the fact that he was able to do anything to me shows that his ground game is a lot better than I thought it was. And he's obviously a really good striker, so I feel like Bart's just been out for way too long. I feel like it's been a few years at this point, and I don't know if he'll be able to just take Emil down whenever he wants, and I definitely don't think he can strike with him, and that's what I think is going to happen. I think Emil will be able to keep it on the feet and eventually win by knockout or TKO, probably late in like the third round. Next, we got Nick Hein versus Demir. I can't say his last name, but to me, Demir isn't very good. I feel like he's 1-2 in the UFC, and that one fight he won, he got a late knockout against the guy he was getting his ass beat against. You know, he was down 2 rounds and then caught him in the third. And I feel like the same thing's going to happen. I think that Nick Hines got the better striking and better wrestling. I think Nick Hines can probably take Demir down whenever he wants and just edge every single round. I don't know if Nick Hines will be able to finish Demir just because Demir is really tough to finish, but I feel like Nick Hines should be able to win, you know, all 3 rounds if he mixes in his wrestling with his striking, and that's just what I see happening. I think Nick Hines wins the 30-27 decision. On the main card, we got Naras, I can't say his last name, versus Mark DeCasey, and Naratz is a really good striker, but that's about it. I think Mark DeCasey is also a good striker. His conditioning is what worries me, but I feel like if he paces himself, he also has the better wrestling. And if he mixes in the takedowns here and there and just uses that to get the points, I think he should win a 30-27 decision. I don't think he'll be able to knock out Naratz, but I think he should be able to keep up. I think these guys will probably be about even on the feet, and I think Mark will get takedowns when he needs to and just edge out every round. As long as he doesn't gas and gets knocked down the third, then he should be able to take home the decision. So I got Mark DeCasey. Next is Danny Roberts versus David Zawada. And to me, David looks like he's a pretty well-rounded guy, but I haven't seen him fight any top-flight dude, so I don't know how good he actually is. To me, Danny Roberts, you know, this is a short replacement fight. Danny Roberts' only weakness to me is I don't know how great his chin is. I feel like technically he's great everywhere. He's got good striking, good wrestling, good jiu-jitsu, but he's been knocked out a couple times. So, like I said, other than his chin being questionable, I feel like Danny Roberts should take this fight every day. I think he wins anywhere and everywhere, and I think Danny Roberts wins by first or second round finish. Next is Marcin Tybura versus Stefan Struve, and to me, Stefan Struve just hasn't looked very good as of late. I feel like each fight he just looks more and more basic. I feel like he doesn't use his jiu-jitsu anywhere as much as he used to, or his grappling at all. I feel like he's primarily just using his striking, and his striking just looks mediocre at best nowadays. And I think that's what this fight's going to be. I think Marcin Tybura has the better striking of the two, and I think if he wants to, could take it down. If he does take it down, I'm a little worried because Stefan Struve does still have good jiu-jitsu. He just doesn't use it as much. But if he is on the ground, he tends to use it. But I think Marcin Tybura is just the better striker and will keep it on the feet. I think that he's faster at this point, and I think he's more willing to throw those big strikes and land the knockout. I don't think Stefan Struve can kind of keep Tybura away with his jab or anything like that. I think Marcin's going to be able to close the distance and win by first round KO, kind of like how Roy Nelson did with like a big overhand right or something. So I got Tybura winning by first round KO. He just looks more in his prime at this point. I feel like he's looked great in pretty much all of his recent fights. Even the fights that he lost, I thought he looked really good. So like I said, I'm leaning towards Tybura getting a first round KO. Next is Vitor Miranda versus Abu Zatir, and these are two strikers. I think they're both really good, but I think Vitor just has much better knockout power. And like I said, I haven't seen Abu fight anybody, so it's hard to tell how good he really is. He's 14-1, but half of his wins are by decision. So he's a striker, but he doesn't have as much power. I feel like Vitor, you know, even his record isn't as good. He's like 12-5. All of his wins are by knockout, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think these guys are going to be striking. I think Vitor's just going to be doing more damage. And I think sooner or later, Vitor is going to land the big punch and win by KO. So I got Vitor Miranda winning by probably second round knockout. Next, we move on to co-main event, Glover Teixeira versus Corey Anderson. And to me, like, Corey Anderson, if he just tries to wrestle with him and hold him down, he could win. But he's taking this fight on super short notice. And I feel like Glover Teixeira isn't just going to get suckered into that wrestling game. I don't think Corey Anderson is as good as Phil Davis is. I don't think he's going to be able to do what Phil Davis did to Glover Teixeira. I think Glover will be able to create space when he needs to. And I think he's going to win by knockout sooner or later. I think Glover's got a huge advantage in the boxing game, and I think that, like I said, because Corey's taking this fight on short notice, I don't think he's going to be able to handle Glover. I think sooner or later, like I said, Glover's going to be able to close the distance or hit him with something in the clinch and just win by knockout. Probably in the first or second round, I got Glover winning by KO. Finally, we move on to the main event, Shogun versus Anthony Smith. And to me, Anthony Smith, his two biggest problems are he's a slow starter, and his takedown defense isn't super great. I feel like Shogun can keep the same pace for 5 rounds. He's not really a fast starter or slow starter. He's just a consistent pace guy. And I also think Shogun, like I said, you know, Smith gets hit a lot early, usually in a lot of his fights. I mean, I know he beat Rashad pretty quick, but he usually loses the first round or two of even the fights that he wins. And I feel like against a guy like Shogun, who's naturally just going to be bigger than him, you can't just be taking shots from Shogun in the first round if you're a slow starter. And I think this is going to happen. I think Shogun is just going to be hitting him early. He might take him down, get him out, knock him out, or just hit him with the better shots early and win by KO. But like I said, I think Smith's slow starter shit is going to hurt him in this fight. And I just see Shogun winning by first round KO because, like I said, Smith gets hit a lot early. And that's not going to work against a guy as big and strong as Shogun. So I got Shogun winning by first round KO. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.